And I have series of questions regarding subconscious and conscious mind that you mentioned before. My first question is, can we communicate to subconscious mind consciously? How does our thinking relate to subconscious mind? Second question is...
So let me answer the first
Yes.
one. How do you speak successfully to your subconscious mind? Your subconscious mind can work on logic or it can work on emotions. So if you emotionally feel something and you communicate that to it, it will pick up the emotions. Okay, that's one. Second, it can navigate through mathematical perfection. So with Miller's technology, for the mark is with the knowledge of the teaching of the quantum grammar for the benefit of the people. Okay? When you say that, your subconscious mind, your conscious mind has verberated a perfect sentence to your subconscious mind now will deliver that to your unconscious mind, and your unconscious mind is your body, and it will perform that physiologically as well. That's the order of operation. My guess is there is no really, it's not a fact, it's not a break in it, it's just one long process. Like a new modern gearbox, it's not like first gear, second gear, it's a cone, and the belt moves up and down that cone. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Following question to this subject.
Yeah.
May I continue?
Yep.
Where does our desires or thinking come from? Does it come from subconscious level or conscious level or material demonstration of who we are?
Yeah, it comes from these points. Can you go back onto my presentation? It comes from the 360 degrees, which is panoramic. It comes from internally, externally, from your subconscious mind, programming of advertising, from your wife, from your children who have external influence. It comes from all different angles, and they all want you to perform their roles. So what that simply means, that your desire, if you yourself have a desire, and you feel that it's originated from you, like for example, my desire to teach this was steadfast. So my subconscious mind performed its duties, give me the time, the resources, the money, the physiology, the health, and so on and so forth to do that by just having that desire. If my girlfriend wanted me to do something else and I didn't really want to do it, I'm not going to do it, am I? There's no desire. But if I want to, as a boyfriend or a husband or whatever, wish to perform my duties and I accept it, then my subconscious mind will accept it, prepare my body, prepare my mind, move the neurons in place, and get to work. That's all you need to do. The genie, the word of the genie, which was robbed from the Muslim culture, whoever you guys are, by saying the jinn spirit is evil, they're lying to you. Your jinn spirit is your subconscious mind. Your jinn is genuine, comes from the word genuine. Your jinn is generous, comes from the word genie, Arabic word. Your gene is your genie. Your genes is your genie. You tell it what to do on a conscious level, it will do it for you. The advertising perform that task for you because you're an empty vessel in sea of space that can't make contract, don't have a flag, don't have a language, can't really speak to your subconscious mind. So advertising will put those desires inside of you, and that your subconscious mind will accept those images emotionally, and then it will perform, your subconscious mind will perform for your body to receive McDonald's, corporate letters, mortgages. I mean, which Frenchman would ever actually buy a mortgage? No bloody Frenchman would ever buy a mortgage because he'll run 1,000 miles from it. It's a death pledge, French for death pledge. So the mortgage companies are also advertising, and they hire the same people that McDonald's hire, and they're linguistic psychologists, okay? Which means they know how neural patterns work, and they come up with the images to support the motions that you would feel when you see McDonald's, Burger King, Tony Blair, Obama, all that sort of stuff. It's all advertising, okay? So if it's Advertising and the emotions are not yours. It was put by another vessel inside of you. So, we haven't finished yet. Say she is Catholic, he's Protestant. She wants to convert him into Catholicism. Catholic, sorry, I didn't pronounce that word too well. So, she wants to do that, and what happens is that she is now taking her cargo, her intellectual property, and putting it inside of this vessel. Once she has done that, put it inside this vessel, she can now claim it under maritime law of salvage, which is what I do. And that's why the Catholic Church and the documents that you see with the Squamish stays, baptized souls lost at sea, under salvage maritime. When religions fight over religion, they are trying to harvest you in their salvage claim. So if she puts it in, that's her salvage, that's her property, that's Catholic property. She will pay her dues and he will constantly pay the Catholic Church. That's how it works. Faiths are not converting people because that's their job. They're converting to remove sweat equity from you.
If we suppose that subconscious mind is dominant or kind of more powerful than conscious.
No. It's neither. This is a misleading question, okay? In the movie, and there are hundreds of them, called Sphere, one of my favorites is Forbidden Planet, okay? Forbidden Planet, because it's got that wonderful actor in there. They'll narrate it beautifully. They go to a planet and they meet, and that planet has the same name in passe as the planet, okay, our Earth, because they've come to Earth. And they meet a guy called Morpheus, okay? It's a black and white movie. And Morpheus deals in language. And in that place, he encounters an alien species that built a machine that will perform every wish that the natives there or the people that lived on that planet would do. And they represent it by thousands of floors, 50, 60 miles long, with all power, enough to pull time and space together. And that's a representation of what your unconscious mind can do for you. Your subconscious mind is a little bit different. And in that movie, Forbidden Planet, he creates that famous robot, which is so familiar with that round thing where it goes like that, you know, in Lost in Space. If they use the same robot for the continuation to let your subconscious mind is, that you say that robot is your subconscious mind, and it works mathematically to communicate to this vast knowledge that it has. This is the genie in the lamp. So when they try to remove you from the genie of the lamp, like if it's the Muslims, they will say genies are evil, okay, to get people away from being genuine, from being genetically, perfect, as it were. They keep using these words. And that same genie is represented by that robot. And that robot is the only thing that can interface with a machine so vast. Because everybody now knows, thanks to Bruce Lipton's publicities, that every cell in your body is speaking to other cells in your body. It's speaking simultaneously to, 50, 60 trillion cells simultaneously? And each one cell has the same processor greater than your computer has. One single cell has a greater processing speed and intelligence speed than any computer that we can think of. Okay? So the interfaces is how this thing works. Your subconscious mind works emotionally or mathematically. Your unconscious mind can only operate the instructions given to the conscious mind, from the conscious mind, or your subconscious. Okay?
Mm-hmm. That's great. I think that this is perfect what you said. Yeah, I'm very pleased.
Yeah.
My question is then, still relating to this, is it a corruption of the language that name this genuine self of ours, sub or unconscious, with the prefix "an" like non, no conscious, or sub with the prefix of no consciousness. Is it done like purposefully corrupt?
Correct. It's also telling your subconscious.
Think that it is not existence,
it is engineered.
it is engineered.
It is engineered to let your subconscious mind know we've told you the truth. Sub means what? No, as in subhuman.
Yes.
Yeah, it means under, no. Conscious means with what? What does it mean? With science. Conscious means to be with science. Yeah, it means conscience also means with science. They're one and the same word. It means with science. Get things done with science. In other words, let it make sense. Otherwise, go for the emotions. That's fine. We call it emotional intelligence now, okay? But the point I'm making is that it is engineered. The reason why your subconscious mind is not dominant, and that's what I was saying to you at the beginning when I had that illness, is that my conscious shut down and my subconscious became what? Dominant. And there it was able to give me the intelligence, the knowledge to fix it within 14 days. Yeah.
Thank you. That's all. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got a two-part question regarding the courts of record.
Yeah.
So when creating a court of record, does there have to be anything in the envelope, or is it just the envelope itself, which is the court of record?
Okay, your court of record on a household basis is nothing more than your bills coming in, what you've paid, and keeping a record of it. Like we used to, your father used to do it, grandfather used to do it. That's a court of record, full stop, on a domestic level. On a commercial level, your court of record would be the things that you have liability for, when you discharged it, the dates, the registered post stickers to show that you sent it off at this time and that time through the mail, and that's your court of record. When the courts, the fiction courts write to you, you create your own court of record, and one court talks to another court. Okay, and you keep a record of it. The registered post stickers, the timelines. The timelines are 3 days rescission, which is 3 days to change your mind. Will you marry me? If he does not agree, if he doesn't say yes or no after 3 days, he's accepted to a tacit agreement. I kid you not. Yeah? I kid you not. So that's 3 days. 14 days or 10 working days is for him to communicate to me by mail. Okay? And after 21 days, I have the right to write to him and remind him that this contract is in place, and I have the right to summons him into my court by letter or physically, which I do. And after 45 days, if the whole thing is not settled, then I have grounds to divorce him because he didn't say no, and half of his property is now mine. It's a good way of keeping things, I think. I'm creating as a negative and a joke just to let you know how this stuff works. Okay?
No, that's excellent. That's answered my question. The other part of the question was, once a registered postage sticker has been created for your court of record, can that same postage sticker, say if I was to use one for withdrawal of consent or banking on demand, etc., can that same number be used in multiple cases with different companies, or would you have to use a different number each time?
If they are writing to you, they've created a case number for you. So you would create a case number for them, but back it up with your court of record number. Everything is just a number.
So, for example, if I've created a court of record and I've got my postage sticker number, and then let's say, for example, that's for a parking ticket that they've tried communicating me with, that's been sent back. Can I use that same number if I was to communicate with, say, a utilities company or?
So the same number for different cases.
On the withdrawal of consent court of record. So with that postage sticker, can that number be used in multiple documents with multiple companies, or has it got to be a fresh postage sticker or fresh number every time?
If it's things like parking tickets, normally passing, syntexing it, ask them for a positive performance using a postage stamp and just saying proof of post, which is like 70 pence. Putting proof of stoke, that would normally work. Yeah. But for a parking ticket, you don't need to create a whole registered post sticker, which is like 7 quid.
So if once I've set up that court of record with that number, and then a couple of months down the line I've got a similar case, can I use that same court of record, or do I then have to re-establish?
If it's the same case, it must always be the same number Always. If it's a different case, it would be a different number. Yeah, for every different case, it would be a different number. All right. Now, I'm not saying, if you're new to this, I'm not saying you should follow this, but I've used simple things like generate my own numbers and use proof of post, because remember, the post office has to serve the richest to the poorest. So the poorest is like 75 pence, the richest is £6.50 or whatever for registered post, and I've won cases on that premises as well. Okay, but I'm not saying you should do that. You should learn to use the registered post stickers to create authentic, genuine registered post stickers to back up your case. I use the proof of post number that they generate as well, because I'm willing to push the boundaries without being fearful of the consequences.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I had been doing previously was I would use the one postage sticker, say if it was withdrawal of consent for something to do with utilities, I would use the same withdrawal of consent postage sticker, whether it be for one with my water or one with my gas and electric. So I was using the same one. So essentially what you're saying is I would need to create another record for each company.
If the utility company is the same group of people, then it will be the same number.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah, as far as I know, it's always same company. Yeah, it's not like EDF and things like that. They don't exist. They're just franchises of the one company, which is the post office. But we won't go there yet. But the point I'm making is that with utilities, I've never done this with utilities. I always pay my own way, financially independent. That's how I like things, and I don't want other people to pay it for me, so I just pay my own way. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I'm always the
absolutely,
beneficiary of everything. Everything else is done for my benefit. When I'm being the executor or the administrator, then it's for the benefit of somebody else. So my council, I'm the benefactor for my council, but that's called a UM trust. So I'm the benefactor. They provide services for my benefit. Okay?
Is that a benefit on demand, that is, isn't it?
No, that's called energy on demand, because under the universal agreements, they are never allowed you to rob you of water, gas or electricity. All you have to do is prove that they're dealing with a live life claimant. If they're dealing with a corporate entity, that's why they write to you in all caps. They're writing to you as a corporate entity, which means it's for profit, and they have the right to cut you off because you're in all caps. All caps means you're corporate or you're nom de guerre. Nom de guerre means dead. That's why soldiers get a dog tag saying they're already dead. And I'm not being personal, okay?
Excellent. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah?
Can I just add further to that?
Yeah, sure.
I received, letters for the post from the council, or by hand, the occupier,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, hold on a minute, well, you know me, I'm paying my tax.
Yeah.
So why are you saying the occupier? So that's obviously for me to
Contract
give them
with
the
you.
information again.
Yeah. Without that, then they broken universal law. Yeah. It's like me offering marriage to him and saying I'm not a man. It's just complete and utter violation. Yeah. So they write to you an occupant. And by the way, when another country invades another country, what do they call it? And they are writing to you to open up the contract to say that you are illegally occupying this land, this house. So they'll deal with you on the terms of warfare. Okay? So in the fiction world, they use the word resident. You know the movie Resident Evil? Say it for me now. Backwards. What does evil mean? Okay, resident? Yeah, contract side, no. Okay, resident. So when they use the law, resident, when they brought in the law called resident live, resident, that's how they used to discharge letters and bills and those sort of things, writing resident on it. They brought out the movie called Resident Evil. And what does Resident Evil do? Stop you ever claiming Resident Evil. If they get you to believe 13 is a bad number, what does that number do? It creates a council. So you're forever programmed from ever using this word 13. We have 13 people to create a council, which means you have a fiduciary, which is Jesus, and you have 12 disciples, 12 board members. The 12 houses in the solar system, and Lucifer or the Venus going from one point to another. 13. Okay, these are magical numbers. Like he's on his jacket, he's got number 7. Number 7 is 7-year bankruptcy, which I forgot to deal with you. That you got to understand. Now remember what have I answered? Who was asking a question? Oh, you. Sorry, have I answered your question? So for getting you to not use the word resident, they would bring out movies like Resident Evil. So you get frightened of ever using this word resident. Yeah, because the word resident has the ability to stop and correct the word occupant. Okay? That's how this system works. On his jacket, he's got number 7 on it. Lucky number 7. Number 7 is always the number that comes up most on a dice, because it has the most amount of combinations that number 7 can come up, which is called the thrower dice. The Jewish banking industry uses the same system, 7-year bankruptcy. Under Jewish law, and there's a reason why the Jews took over the banking, is because it was being misused and abused. So, yes, I know there's a lot of information saying the Jews are doing this. No, they're not doing nothing to you. They're doing their best to safeguard you under 7-year bankruptcy. And in their culture, it's very clear. And in maritime, it's very clear. After 7 years, if you do not forgive a debt, then the debt becomes you. If I've done an ill on you and you don't give me after 7 years, then you will take on that ill. That's psychology. Your body changes every 7 years. As a result, they create all these infrastructures for you to discharge any debts within 7 years. That's why she said, I forgive my debtors, the Queen. That's her people she's forgiving. That's the lords, not the lords, the sirs and so on and so forth. They just wipe out their debt at a click of a finger, because they're not supposed to hold on to debt. Debt is evil. It doesn't matter if it's a Muslim culture, Christian culture. So after 7 years, you don't ever hold on to debt. And that's why the Jewish tradition, in their faith, they forgive all debt, any ill sayings, ill wrongs, and so on and so forth. So they created the banking infrastructure, took it over to protect the people from being harvested by these chieftains. Rule Britannia, rule the waves, Britons will never be slaves. They're saying that to the King of England. He's saying, fuck off. Sorry about the language. F off. We're not your slaves. We're taken to the water. But the human nature is greedy. So they make citizens or misters on their board, on their vessel, and make you slaves. And if the Vatican says anything about it, they say, we cleaned our hands because we've put mister on it, and all we're doing is asking them to discharge their liabilities to us. But they've hidden the mechanism and hidden the language. And hence he was talking about how they robbed you of it. That's what Mr. means. Because if I'm a Mr. on his ship, he has to pay my gas bill, he has to pay my heating bill, my food bill, my expenses, my discoing when I go overseas, which is called liberty. Yeah, liberty. When I have my Statue of Liberty, I am allowed to travel 18 kilometers. I think I've forgotten what amount it is, but the point is that I just collect these bills and give it to him as the captain, because I work for him. However, everything I produce on his ship is his. If I carve a beautiful statue and it's worth 1 trillion, it's his, because it's his time, his money, his resources that created it. That's what Mr. is. But they don't give you these mechanisms. So Miller came up with the correct sentence structure, parsing, syntax, grammar, which is, I don't care if you're on the land, I don't care if you're the post office, or I don't care if you're the debtor, the banking. Show it to me in the correct language. Otherwise, go away. Go away. Yeah? I don't care if I'm a slave that speaks this language. And if you can't speak to me in my own slave language, I can't clean your floor, I can't drive your car, I can't do nothing. So speak to me in correct sentence structure, parsing, syntax, grammar, so I can perform my duties to you. Yeah, because I don't understand a single word you're saying. It just sounds like babble, 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 babble. Yeah? Babble, babble, babble. And that's biblical. If only you knew what the Bible meant. Yeah. Well, it's right in front of your face, as it were, because Tower of Babel. What did their God do? Divide the languages. Created, what they call Babel language. They tell it to you in the open, and they write it to you in Babel language and say, this is the word of God. Yes, it is the word of God. because God is man-made. That's why they don't call it creator. The creator creates. God does all this garbage.
But therefore the religion's fiction as well.
Yeah, religion, the word religion means no people, as in Julius Caesar's legions. RE means no, as in you can see receding airline. 100% proof right in front of your face. A fellow receding airliner. Can't argue with it, can you? You just can't argue with it. When you give people religion, you remove them from faith. Correct. Yeah. Here's another one. Vengeance is thine, says the Lord. So what's vengeance? That's saved for people like you and I, because I have right to grievance. That's called vengeance. Revenge is no vengeance. You have no vanguard. Okay? Yeah, so let's pass the mic on. Yeah, okay.
You talked about mortgages and challenging mortgages through the use of language, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Can you sort of talk about some of the steps that you did or how you went about that?
How I went about it. So you would have a mortgage, or you would have an agreement, or something on a piece of paper, and I look at it and I realize there is 2 parties on it. 2 parties, okay? But they're in boxes. So I look up the word boxes, and boxes means it's a different game in every box. Like this is one floor, this is a tennis court. The box on this side has different rules from the box on the outside. And every single box has its own rules. So I just simply asked them, what's the rules on this box? And those are early days, okay? And they don't want to know, they don't want to answer. So my name is not on it, their name's not on it, and everything else is in a box. It has its own different rules and so on and so forth. So I challenge them on that. I put a postage stamp on it, put a registered post stamp on it, and they don't want to reply back. So let's imagine now it's 5-6 years later. I've now mastered Miller's technology, and now I'm able to produce Quarontos, okay? Or Quaronto commands. Because I'm a chief, I'm able to produce commands. So when I put those Quaronto commands in, and it's a lengthy process, some projects take 3 months long, I command them to give me a correct sentence structure performance, okay? If they don't, then they are summoned into my court, default judgments are created, and those default judgments will have, fault judgments will have perpetual claims on it to the point of satisfaction, because I have not collected any monies from these people. Miller did, but before that they started hurting him through fiction, i.e. Russell J. Gould and his then clerk of the court and things like that, which I explained to him who they are and what they are, and Miller was a happy man when he realized that he had not messed up, he was infiltrated, and it was them that was destroying from the inside, okay? As I said, Miller was a very innocent man. He can't see evil, think evil, do evil. He just doesn't have it, you know, just doesn't have it. So he could be the devil himself, and he'd be still talking to him as if he's a normal human being. This is not a normal human being. So they sent in sycophants, psychopaths over a period of 20 years to slowly destroy him. Does that make sense? Yeah. Under Miller's book, it's got virtually everything that you need to create your own nation, which I teach people to do. Okay, and it's got a Quaronto in here, which you can adapt to the English if you are English. Remember, the land laws is what sits above all other laws. It's the foundational level. That's why when you go for the English laws, you win every case. Don't call them corporate laws. Yeah, you use City of London laws. Sorry, you use English laws and City of London laws, because City of London is essentially an extension of everything else. City of London runs this under the Chief Commoner, which I have a contract with. Okay? Yeah.
So Mark, when you begin this, especially your live life and claim, and you produce one, is there any protections you have to put in place after that, like i.e. protecting assets and so forth, or using facilities in the public and so forth?
So when you have your live life claim, it takes you out that Roman system where they reduce your status to virtually dead, and that stops and corrects it. With a language so powerful that they can't argue with it, because nobody can argue with 2 times 2. Okay? And when you need it, you use the live life claim number on your documents that you're rebutting. For things like, for sort of minor things like speeding and things, you'll never get away with it because that's health and safety. Okay? I don't even deal with parking tickets or nothing like that because it takes the same amount of energy to deal with a mortgage or an international case as it does with a parking ticket. So I don't touch any of these sort of things. Okay? So your live life claim is the absolute start. If you don't have a live life claim, you can't go very far on paper in bureaucracy, in the world of corporations and within the world of anything that's on paper. Anybody got their driving license here with them? Yeah. Can I have a look at it? Can you pull that sticker out for me, please, the blue one? Now, whenever I release these information, they do change them. Okay, even if it costs them 100 million, they'll change it. So I'm hoping that it still has it. Okay, it does have it. Whose is this one? Okay, look at this one here. Do you see that? What does that look like to you? And look at this. It's a registered post sticker. The only difference is that they charge you several £100 or actually a few £1,000 to produce that, and all they did is they sent it back to them and gave you that sticker, but it's in their name. It's a registered post sticker. You can create an entire government if you know how to use registered post stickers. That's why I've given it to you. If you know how to use a registered post sticker, you can create your own FBI, CIA, Corporation McDonald, Donald, whatever it's called, if you know how to use it. Okay? It always off just a back of one registered post sticker. Remember what I said, everything is in plain sight. Everything is in plain sight. Where's Nat gone? Huh? Yeah, can you open up the tab with me in the Telegraph? Once you know how to use a registered post sticker, they'll even take out advertising to say, don't mess about with this guy. Yeah, don't mess about with him. They'll do it on a global, but because he knows the mechanisms, and we don't want this sort of people in our world, because he's in the world of fact and he's not in the world of fiction. Fiction only begets fiction. Fact does not. When a fact comes close to a fiction, which is likened to a shadow, the shadow will diminish in power, because the source of light is getting closer and closer, and the fiction will die. It can't run, it will die. How do you get rid of a shadow? You shine a light on it. It will just die there and there. Okay? So, they released the whole bloody technology. I confronted Miller with this. I said, what's bloody going on? Why have they released this information in the public of how this system works? In the Telegraph, where millions of people are going to be seen, is saying they are making a universal declaration that no courts on this planet, no judges are allowed to touch this person, because he knows what he's doing, and if he comes into our courts, he's going to wreck it, which means he's going to claim their vessels as salvage wrecks. Every country in the world has salvage wrecks laws. He'll claim them, and then we've had it. Yeah, he'll decloak us, which means he'll make us take his cloaks off, their cloak of mourning. As a result, here's the technology. Don't mess about with them. I even made purposeful errors in that one to see what will happen. Nothing. They're not allowed to touch facts. Okay? So they released that information in the Telegraph, I don't know, donkey's years ago, many years ago. So I was puzzled as to why they would put me in that. They just gave me all the publicity I've been looking for like spending £15,000, £16,000 publicizing my events, and they go and do it free for me. If they would have told me, I would have just not spent it, But the point is, you guys need to get there. The judges and the Bar Association wear a mourning robe. That robe was created to show respect to the dead. When I decloak them, I'm letting them know that I'm not dead. Full stop. Yeah, physically decloak them. Yeah. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, I would have played games with them. Yeah, like we used to in the early days. We used to go to court and play all sorts of games and things like that. Yeah, but I don't do these sort of things because I have my own courts and I sit above all the Supreme Courts. So that's that. Okay. By the way, it's not a big thing to say that you sit above a Supreme Court. It's no big deal. Any living thing can sit above any one of these courts or any governments. Yeah? Remember, there are millions of coins being minted every year that's in circulation. It's just that in the world of fiction, you guys have never seen it. But they're exchanging money all the time in gold and silver. I would give you more information if I knew you, but I can't because it can be easily misused. I have, they can easily misuse it, okay? And I don't want to get myself in that problem. Because when I did do that in the nation building program, when 60% of them turned out to be sycophants and sycophants, they tried to do some serious damage, but I've always survived these sort of things, okay? That's a lot of number coming into my programs. So I'm a little bit more discerning nowadays, okay? Yes, next question. Do you want to, have you got Mike? Yeah, okay.
I'm happy to say that I'm one of the much more innocent ones, and my intentions are absolutely good. So what I really wanted to ask you, Mark, is that with your Live Life claim, it's a two-part question. I've got two questions. With your Live Life claim, this one's really quick. Do the other witnesses to that of which you need... They have to be Live Life claimants as well. Okay, that's number one. Secondly, I'm on collapsing the Sescovy Trust, because obviously we're all down as dead and lost, and the Vatican is claiming ownership over our SOLE souls. And in order to collapse that, the Sescovy Trust, they were saying that you need to take the titles of the assets on the private side and with the titles of the debts on the public side and merge them by order. And by doing that, you collapse the Sescovy Trust, and then you disperse the funds into a public liability account on the private side. That then works up. You can literally be writing out checks to pay for the things that you need to live.
At this stage, you're now educating me.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, right, sorry.
That's what I'm saying to you. I've not gone there. So as a result, I don't do any of that sort of stuff because somebody has to pay it somewhere. And I don't want you guys to pay my bill. If he doesn't pay the bill, it's going to be put onto him. Hence the father's sins will be, okay?
They're saying 1 penny of lawful money
yeah.
can discharge all of the debt on the public side.
Yeah, which would be like a postage stamp. Can you see if I've got examples of that? I might not have it. How the mortgages were once paid off, they just used to put a postage stamp and sign it off. Let me keep that in mind, and I'll answer another question. If you can unplug that, go into my Skype, look at Alex. Alex sent me some documents, and those are mortgage agreements that were being discharged with postage stamps. So any factual piece of money, he's right, you can discharge these fictional notes.
Can't you nullify the mortgage contract anyway through claiming fraud through misrepresentation?
Yeah, that's a Coronto command or complaint, which is on Miller's document, used very successfully. Yeah.
Thank you.
But know what you're doing, okay? It took me from 2012 now, to get it to this level, okay? So know what you're doing or get trained with my training programs, okay? Easiest way to do it is watch the videos. Miller's one, this one, get the book. You'll soon put it together.
I've been watching all of it. I love it.
Yep.
Okay. I practice martial arts, okay? So, as a Live Life claimant, someone comes in front of me, does a monkey dance. My type of art is that we should strike first before they strike. what is my standing with that, because I'm hurting the person, or
Yeah, this got nothing to do with live life claim or anything like that. If you are threatened, you have universally what is known as safe distance, which is arm's length. If they breach that, then you can breach that. The police won't even allow you to get arm's length. If you breach that, then they will hurt you. They will breach you. They'll put you down. If you are very good at what you do, you should be able to disable any person.
okay.
But you would never hit. You will never hit. I have boxing trainers. I know martial art trainers. One of my best friends is a cage fighter. They won't never do any of these sort of things. They will always walk around it because they are professional at what they do, and yeah, it's not good to hit a drunk or one of these people. I get caught out sometimes, but that's just me. Not hitting back, as it were, actually, receiving it because I'm a bit apprehensive. But they would never allow it to go that far. They would normally neutralize it. Yeah.
Got a couple more questions.
And besides, if a professional did strike, then you'd be in problems.
Yeah.
Because a punch from him is different from a punch from you. You've put 10,000 hours behind it. He's put like 5 minutes of, whiskey behind it. That's all. Okay. That's all that's behind whiskey. That's all.
This is one about law of attraction. Okay.
Yeah.
Learning about quantum language as well. When it comes to affirmations, if we simply convert the affirmations into quantum language,
Yeah.
does it make the attraction more powerful?
Yeah, your subconscious mind will hear it, your unconscious mind will hear it, every part of your hemisphere, every cell will hear it. Because they cannot ever argue with 2 times 2. Your subconscious mind will never argue with it. Do you know why they put corruption to music? Because music is mathematical, and your subconscious mind, unconscious mind will never resist it. And that's how they put the poison in and drive it right through.
Has it got anything to do with 3 minutes? Is that part of it?
I don't know about 3 minutes, but you do have 7 times
That's
exposure.
repetition. Yeah.
When you have 7 times exposure, when you do things 7 times repeatedly, it goes into your subconscious mind. Okay, and if you do it so many times, it will become permanently fixed in your brain, like weight training, martial arts, boxing, writing, reading, whatever it is. It becomes unconscious. Driving is the easiest example. Talking on the phone, still driving. Don't do it, but driving is purely done unconsciously. Consciously, you can't really do very much. That's just an illusion. You couldn't even walk down the stairs consciously. You'll fall down. Your conscious mind creates an illusion. They are tasks done only by your subconscious and unconscious mind. Okay? That's why it took you 50, 60 hours to learn to drive and put it firmly in the unconscious mind where you're driving independently. Okay? Consciously you can't do anything. But it takes that long, like typing, for it to become unconscious. Where the typist can have a cigarette, still talk on a phone, and the hands are still going like that. And have you ever seen them in typing pools? Yeah? They have earphones on, which they hear it, having a cigarette, whatever it is, watching a bit of YouTube, and it just goes on automatic. Yeah? In the olden days in when the Chinese didn't have proper exchanges, as it were, the telephone operator, they have telephone operators like they used to, would memorize the entire dictionary of telephone numbers, and that might be 50, 60,000 numbers on it. They would memorize it. How the hell do you memorize something like that? It's because the umbilical cord was not cut at birth. It was cut 3 days after, when the placenta all drained out. Okay? What's your question?
One more. I'm involved in internet marketing, more in the home-based business niche. There's a couple of companies. I've been through your gold and silver and assets course, webinar. There's a couple of companies, quite well known.
You've gone through them. The gold one just started recently, so I don't understand.
There's my question is, there's a network marketing company called Carrot Bars, and they're LBA approved and everything.
Yeah.
Another one called Quicksilver, where they get their coins directly from the minters. Is it good to use these companies?
For buying gold and silver?
Yeah.
What I would do is I would just look for the person that sells the cheapest period, okay, and because you're still in the European Union, the Germans will sell it and pay the VAT on it as well, and have it guaranteed transported to your doorstep. That's what I would do, just look for the cheapest venue. The LBA, the London Bullion Market, was what you're talking about. The London Bullion Market will always be on those seals, okay? It will be printed on there, unless of course it's Johannesburg, which have their own seals. David has his own seals, and I will be minting gold and silver coins very soon, because I'll be creating a bank very soon, because I need a bank to collect the monies that I've won on. As a chief federal judge, I have the ability to put claims in and collect it, but because I don't have a bank and I don't fully understand the mechanisms, I haven't collected anything yet. Okay? This is the third party that damaged you. In other words, they put their toxic cargo, which they call toxic loans, toxic mortgages, and it collided with this vessel. The moving party always pays. It is their toxic loans that collided with this vessel. That's all the damage is. It's not about anything else. It's about his vessel collided into your vessel was stationary, his was moving, period. You have a car accident, insurance company is going to simply ask you in many different ways, who was the moving party? The moving party is always guilty. Pays the damages. Okay? Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Hi. Once you've got your live life claim, is it possible to still operate a bank
Yeah.
account perfectly? And if you do, and you want to change your title, say you want to take away the Mr. and the Mrs., how does that work? Is there a procedure for it? And the other thing is, instead of a signature, would I be able to change it with the bank to an autograph?
So, with the banking system, I've done none of those sort of things, but I have let them know that I'm the beneficiary of this account. That's all. I always have my autograph on it. My bank card will always have autograph on it. Is my cell phone there? Okay. You know, my driving license will have autograph on it. My passport will have an autograph on it, which are nothing more than register post stickers. So as long as you put your autograph on it and you let them know that you're the beneficiary.
Because at the moment, obviously, I opened the account before I made the live life claim, so there is a signature, as in a cursive signature on the account, and many times I've had to sign that signature to do something, but I'd rather change the signature to an autograph. Now,
I don't understand your question.
So with the bank, for certain transactions, if I go over the counter, they ask me to sign.
Yeah.
Because they've got my signature, but they haven't got my autograph.
So what you would do in that case, if you wanted to call it an autograph and make it look like an autograph, you just go in and say there's a change in how I write my name. And this is it, and provide them with a couple of documents, yeah? And they will accept that. That's called a change of signature, which you're allowed to do.
Would I be able to ask them to stop addressing me as a Mrs.?
You can ask them to stop giving you titles. Yes, you can do. Okay, they will say to you, it's just to help us find out whether you're male or female. But at the end of the form, they'll ask you if you're a male and female, even though you've put Mr. or Mrs., which means it's operating something else. All right? So long as you let them know that you are the beneficiary, that's fine. Okay? The title of Mr. and Mrs. is to let them know you're on maritime. Sorry to spit on you, darling. That's all. Okay? Yep, so we have a question here.
Does the live life claim helps to claim a land?
Louder, we don't hear the back.
If the live life claim helps to claim a land, a piece of land?
Yes, it's the beginning of it, but you need to be a student for at least 6-7 months before I'm able to even teach you that. The answer is yes, it comes off the chieftain's list. Remember, everything is for your benefit. It's just waiting to be claimed.
And the land that you can claim, it has to be.
This is called a Lloydial land title. Yes, I've done it. Yes.
And it has to, and it can be anywhere in the world, or it has
No,
to be
you need to live there, and prove that you've lived there for a certain number of years. Minimum would be 7 years. Okay. Otherwise, you might move into my house and say, "This is my house," isn't it?
But you have to be native to the country that you...
Okay, nativity, if you call yourself, you know when they say tick your ethnic, you know when they say tick your ethnic box, they're trying to localize you. Okay, now I have a claim on everywhere I go, because physically nobody can occupy the same time and space that I am. That's all. That's my claim. So my land moves with me. My ocean moves with me. My vessels moves with me. Where I, what they call abode in fiction words, is where I rest and take shelter. This would be my homestead. These are the old words which still work. This is your homestead. Okay, and that would be yours. Period. Yes.
All right, thank you. I have another question. Why did Miller choose this flag, this specific flag, and not other?
Because the flag, this is his explanation, the American flag was abandoned when Bush came into power, because that's when the corporation of the new government, when it became a corporate, threw it away. They discarded it. So he claimed it as his own under salvage claim, as a salvage wreck, and after 1 year, 1 day, it became his. So the most famous flag on the planet is actually British and American. Okay, so that flag belongs to him, and he's copyrighted it, and his students have copyright release over it.
And what's the connection with God, dog Latin, and even the place where we are, it says you are in the Isles of Dogs here.
The connection of the Isle of Dogs is that's where what's he called? Charles, Cocker Spaniels, yeah, which is small dogs. He used to have collections of them. He used to go and see his council, which lived in that time in a place called Blackheath. That's where the clergy lived. That were his council. So he used to put all of his Cocker Spaniel dogs in a small island in East London called Isle of Dogs. And that's where the word comes from, the island for the dogs. Because he was not allowed to take those dogs across the ocean, across River Thames for his council. He had to leave them there. And he would take counsel and then come back and then ship out. That's the history of Isle of Dogs. Okay?
And is any significance that God in the mirror is
very
a dog?
big, yeah. It's 100%, because it's the dog god of the underworld. Anubis, yeah. This is not bad or not good. Yeah, it is what it is. It is neither good nor bad. Like Hades is the god of the underworld. Yeah, without a contract, you can't come into his world. Whatever world that is, you cannot enter that. If you don't have a contract to go to hell, you can't enter hell. If you don't have a contract to go to heaven, you can't enter heaven. As long as you understand that those things be as they are on earth, as heaven is on earth, because there is no other planes. There is only one plane. There is only one plane. That's why in the book Genesis, God speaks to Cain hand by hand, holding his hand, talks to him as his own brother, not his creator or father, talks to him. And what does Cain do? He says, "Who the f*** are you?" Sorry about the language. "Who the f*** are you to ask me where what's his brother's name?" Abel. Where is Abel? Who are you to ask me? What am I, his keeper? Go and find him yourself. Yeah, there's no punishment on it. It's geometric level playing field. Everything is on a geometric playing field. Does that answer your question? It is the dog god of the underworld, which is created by man. That's why gods have gods, which is plural. Creator is singular. That's why it say, "Let us go forth," us. let us go forth and confuse them. It's plural. These are gods, which are man. Gods are people that control contracts. Titans are people that have the contract. Olympians are the ones that are always fighting for the contracts. You remember that scene in Mortals when he wants to release the Titans? What do the Titans have in their mouth in that cage? The bit. Means silent. They are remaining silent until the Olympians, which are their children, bash it out. Greedy children, huh? And that's why the peasant king, who is a Titan himself, releases the other Titans. And the Spring Revolution went like that.
And one of our ex-presidents in Romania was Traian Băsescu, which I saw that is one of the 300 member of the 300
That's correct,
Council.
yeah.
Why was the need to be president, just to make fun?
To get trust relationship. In order to create a trust relationship, you need 3 minimum in the world of fiction. So your live life claims have 3: Father, Son, Holy Ghost, administrator, executor, beneficiary. Okay, 3-day rescissions act. The sun sits on the northern hemisphere for 3 days before it moves up. Within 3 days, the body is never interfered because the body may change its mind and come back. Okay, apart from very hot countries where it's only 2 days, I believe. But in colder countries, 3 days you cannot touch the body because it can change its mind, and it often does. Okay, so these laws are biological, psychological, physiological, astrological, and they are laws of the world. They govern your very physical essence. It's like arguing with the moon about something. Argue as much as you want. Yeah. Does that? So I don't think I fully understand. The trust law, if he doesn't become president, then he can't be the trustee of the people. So he has to run for it. Like in Jamaica, the chieftain there, the Committee of 300, he has to run for a position. Otherwise he won't sit as the trustee position. And then when they use this language and the reversing of the roles, they make themselves the beneficiary. And then you knew that the administrators or the executors. And when you go into court, they put you in prison because you as an executor are not discharging your liabilities for the beneficiary of yourself. But they never told you that. There's you, the clerk, and the judge. Trustee. But they make the other side the claimant. Does that make sense? It's trustee position. You have houses of parliament. You have the judiciary in America. You have this, the judiciary, legislator, and the Senate. The executive, 3. The Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. That they work in that system of 3. You need a minimum of 2 people in your life, third being yourself, for trust to do anything in life. Without that people, you're not going to do very much in life. We're socialized, which means we are dependent upon each other. You don't ever want to be independent, which means no pen. Because even to have a witness, you need a trusted friend. Okay? Yeah, go on, help yourself.
You said that gold will strike back?
Yeah, in British economy, yeah.
Because I saw an interesting thing on the YouTube that in Dubai they have already ATM for gold. And
yes.
Are they ahead of everybody else, or why is that happening there?
Because they are willing to give fiction people fiction money and factual people factual money. That's their contract. Yeah. Islam is a trustee position. And if they get caught so openly violating it, then they lose faith. If you lose faith, then you have no God, no creator, no nothing. Yeah? That's why the Jews are always under the protection of the Arabs, because that's their contract. I know the fiction world will tell you otherwise, but the Arabs protect the Jews to death, and they will fight to them to the death. People are not aware of it. They will fight for them to the death. Look at World War II history. More rescue missions were created for the Jewish people to get them out in these places than any country in the world. But you'll never see movies about it because they don't publicize it. When the Jews do something for anybody, they don't publicize it. You won't ever see a mosque. It could be you'll never see their synagogue. It might be the biggest synagogue in the world, but you'll never see it from the street because they don't practice ostentatious ceremony. Yeah? They're just underkeyed. They just do it and leave it. You understand what I'm saying? They don't defend themselves. Okay? So the world is not what you think it is. The fiction world will get you to believe that the Muslims are fighting the Jews and the Jews are fighting the Muslims. No, nothing of the sort. Yeah. Otherwise, all the Jews in Iran will be dead. Okay.
Why would they create that element of fiction?
What's the old saying in the British Empire? Thank you. Fiction people is very easy to divide. Factual people cannot be moved from their position. It's like, he did this, he did that, and he comes along and ruins everything by just simply saying, where's the evidence for it? It just disappears. But fiction people will go, yeah, he did that, I saw his sneaky eyes, you know. So, yeah, you. Okay?
You went to Ben Nevis to do a resetting of the currency at the time. Could you explain a little bit around the Pope, the kissing of the ring, and could anyone reset the crystal if, like, say, one of us was to go up there?
Okay, I'll explain it to you this way. When they discovered that water has memory for 100% scientific evidence, they released the movie called Frozen 2. Go and see it, and they repeat it for you 3 times. Water has memory, water has memory, water has memory. And they're doing it in a cartoon because parents have to take their children with them. They have to be in hand. So they're talking to their parent, not the children. Frozen 2. Okay? What am I saying there? I'm saying to you is that a crystalline structure like quartz can take on thousands of other frequencies. And what they're saying in that movie, Frozen, is that water can hold the memory of whatever it is, 1 trillion, billion, everything. It can hold all of it, and it holds it. And they've discovered how it works. I don't know how it works. Crystalline structure can do the same thing. We've known that for a very long time. That's how quartz crystal works. Okay? You can program a crystal to any frequency you want. The Gregorian calendar per second, minutes, hours is calibrated on the highest mountain of a particular country, which is Ben Nevis in this country. That is why when you look at Wikipedia, it will not say 3 largest mountains, it will say 13 highest mountains. 13 highest mountains. 13 high mountains makes what? Council. Each one of these chieftains will sit upon the top of these mountains, calibrating the crystal to now control the thought patterns, behavior of you on a quantum level. That's how it works. All proven technology. Tesla's technology runs on it. Royal Rife machines run on this technologies. Okay. If you guys watched Elysium, they'll tell you how that works. When the frequency machines are used, when they said we've licensed the frequency machines under Tesla's technologies, we've now authorized them by the FDA. Yes, they're approved. The things that they say don't exist are approved by the FDA to purge cancers and all these sort of stuff. Okay? So what is it that I'm saying? The dominant species controls you. The dominant species. Everybody knows here anybody here that does not know what quantum entanglement is? Quantum entanglement. Okay, so this is known for thousands of years, nothing new, but they always revenue it so it sounds like it's brand new. Einstein, which I don't have very much to say about him, okay, but since he says it, I'll explain it. When he bought 2 grandfather clocks, which are 2 mechanical clocks, go ding, 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 you know those clocks, yeah, that turn the wheel and stuff. When he bought them together, even though they told different times further apart, when they bought them together, one clock started to copy the movement of the other clock. So the movement of this machine, even if it was separate, was influencing the moving of this, which he called quantum entanglement. When they create a particle beam, okay, and they split that beam like a split of a genetic code, and it's identical in form. If you interfere with this beam, that beam will also mimic it. If I am your twin, identical twin, and he says something bad to me, you feel it as well as I do. Quantum entanglement. Now comes the real biological stuff. Let us imagine this is a dorm, okay, and we're all girls here. And the dominant girl, let's imagine she's the dominant girl. She's pretty, she is feminine, and as a result, she would be the dominant girl in the dorm. All of the periods of the girls will be regulated by this one person under quantum entanglement on biology. Okay? If a new girl comes who has her period in the middle of the month, her period will change the same time as her, even though she may have just had their period 2 days ago. She will have another period immediately. And every time a new dominant girl will come and replace you, the entire school will change to her period. Full stop. It's done on a biological level, on a mechanical level, on a physiological level, and it happens in schools with males as well. The alpha male dictates how the rest of the school is going to behave. That is why the headmaster will figure out who the dominant male is and then work on that dominant male to control the entire school, because the headmaster can control nothing. The dominant male does. Okay, that's what the power of quantum entanglement is. The quartz crystal, because it's such a huge chunk of geology, or what they call a geode, on your dominant earth, when you program that, it has a direct influence on you. It will program you, just as a Royal Rife machine can purge you of, say, cancer cells if you have cancer cells. It's done on a biological, psychological, electrochemical level. It runs on all the levels. That's why they sit on these 13 mountains. Okay? To program that crystalline structure. If you remove all the soil, what will be sitting there is a huge crystalline structure, like a tree branches, and that programs your earth. And if you want to put malice into it, it will dictate the rest of the human beings there as malice, including the animals, the trees, the plants, and all that sort of stuff. The earth will form your behavior, your conduct, and everything else. So who controls the 13 highest peaks controls you, and that's the chieftains, until people like Miller turned up and I turn up. Then things are recalibrated. Okay? That's what it is. And this is not mystical, this is factual. It was him that went to Ben Nevis. It was him, because I couldn't make it all the way, so he did it for me. Yeah, working in kinship, symbiosis. He's lighter, speedier, so he did it. Okay, I only did, was it 90%? And then the snow was so thick, I didn't have footholding, and the next drop was too far for me to fall safely, which is like 100 feet or something. So I stopped and let him go. You know, so he did it for me. So he tapped that altar there, and I did the same thing for Hawaii, but a sycophant got in and poisoned the Hawaii team against me, so that was that. Yeah. So we made that journey to Hawaii to program that mountain. And all cameras were looking at us. You know all the big telescopes there? They're not looking at stars. They're looking at the mountain peaks, the 13 mountain peaks. Every one of those telescopes is pointed at the 13 highest mountain peaks in the Pacific Oceans, drawing energy away from it. Yeah. Why aren't that telescope looking at the stars? Oh, you know, it's just all cameras were on there. Police turned up, guards turned up, making sure we are safe, not to hurt us, because we're postmasters entering a domain. Okay? To alter psychology, biology, and that sort of stuff, yeah. There would always be an alternative reason why they do these things. It could be beneficial, benevolent, or malevolent. I don't know. Okay, I don't know what the effects are if they did that. So, Yep.
Okay, first of all, I just want to say thank you for what you're doing to uplift fallen humanity. And my question is to you, which is several, can you explain what a sea pass is, a sea treaty and a drogue, as well as how do we obtain them?
So the simple way of doing any of these things is just to simply use the word. So a sea pass, spelled S-E-E, comes from the Vatican Protocol of See, Holy See. It's spelled S-E-E, which means be able to see. That's why the judges sometimes say I can't see it, because there's no bloody value on the document. Has no autograph, doesn't have proper language, doesn't have a flag, doesn't have a postage stamp, it's not authorized, nothing. It can't see it. Okay? So the C treaty is a postage stamp that add value to the document. Then you have the next one, CEA. That's a sea pass to allow you to move from one sea to another, because each vessel is foreign to you. Okay? And you need a sea pass with a common treaty, which is called a postage stamp, because that vessel will recognize this vessel with a postage stamp, with a flag, for you to be able to move from one sea to another, for him to see, which is on land it's called sight. That's why on sea they spell it S-E-E. On land they call it S-I-G-H-T. Okay, different words meaning on different jurisdiction. That's what sea pass is. The drogue law is nothing more than like a jib, which is a sail on a ship that is lowered under the ocean to stabilize the vessel. It's very similar to what a keel does. What that does, so if you have a gust of a wave, the ship won't just go like that and knock you off or unstabilize the ship. So while they're in dock having parley, talking, the captain will order the drogue sail in to stabilize the two vessels to communicate. So if you don't have a knowledge of your drogue law going into court, then that vessel will consider you a dangerous party to treaty with or talk to, because you haven't followed your drogue law, which means throw a bloody anchor down, put a sail in, safeguard it so our ships don't collide. Okay, and because you got a sea pass, you got a sea treaty, you got a postage stamp, that's what that is. And what's the other one? D-R-O-U-G-H, I think it is. It should be in Miller's book, somewhere in a file. I don't think I'm spelling it right, actually. Let me just have a look here. Yeah, shout it out loud, folks.
D-R-O-G-U-E.
Okay, thank you. It's in front of the Miller's book. Drogue law is just a maritime expression. Okay, safeguarding, making your ship safe to parley. You sometimes see it in these pirate movies with Errol Flynn when they put their drogue down to parley. They're always talking to you, by the way. Always talking to you, always educating you. Like these movies, yeah?
So my second question is regarding David Windmiller's flag, the correct sentence, communication, past sentence, grammar. What is the significance of the 50 stars, and what does it represent?
Well, that's the states of the US, okay, which he captured the whole thing of. But in his technology at that time, he said, I've created 50 orders of procedure to follow in order to create these documents, because in the wrong hands, people do stupid things. So there are 50 procedures. But since then, he's changed it to like 63, and I've added another 10. So there's well over 80 procedures you need to do to keep those documents done now. And I do those sort of things as a chief federal judge on account of the amount of people that come to me on the premises that they're good people, only to find they are sycophants or psychopaths. Psychopaths, you've got to understand this. I don't often speak about negative things. Psychopaths for real. You know, all the things that the Bible tells you about, the demonic mind and all that sort of stuff, and the evildoers, they're for real. They're in the courts. They're all for real. If you got into one of these minds, you will know what they are going through. Dr. Hare explains it very well. You know, when I'm talking to her, I'm looking at a beautiful, lovely woman, okay? when they talk to her, if a psychopath was talking to her, it will be analyzing, how can I get what she has? Yeah, what's the lies that I need to tell her to get these two away so he can get in, or she? And they will engineer it. The language and the thoughts will be exacting as what you and I would call evil or wicked or anything. These people are for real. I've met them. The guy that used to do my typing, I shared a lot of information with me. He tried to destroy my organization because I found out he was extorting money from my clients. Yeah, so he went around. Anyway, the point is, know the species of man and women that you're dealing with. Do not engage with people unless you know who they are, because they will do a serious amount of damage. And I found out the hard way. Okay? But I'm also quite tough because these things don't really hit me that hard, as it were. And I'm also a fifth dimensional thinker, which means I can engineer these people to do my task if I want. I kid you not. I have that ability. But I don't do this type of manipulation. But if they go down that route, I will be able to create that mechanism. Okay? Plus, I'll be writing several books next year. In there, I'll be talking about the human condition, the things that we celebrate, as well as the subspecies that will keep you down. The courts are full of these people. Okay? Full of these subspecies. Yep.
So if we're not to use fiat currency...
I didn't say anything about not to use.
No, I'm saying because if you're being correct, because you gave us that you got real and you got the fake.
Yeah.
So I'm saying if you're not to use the fiat currency.
No, that's the wrong word, not to use. I never said don't use it. I said learn to live and eat and swim and sleep in the world of fiction and in the world of fact. Because when you go to sleep, you're in the world of fiction, aren't you? It's all, yeah? And when you're in the world of fact...
I'm trying to say with that then, you can go and buy something via using stamps only, right? As currency, as opposed to the fiat currency.
What I'm saying is to learn to use the postage stamps, learn how to use your fiat currency, learn how to use gold and silver to do private transactions, use these fiat currencies and these factual currencies for your benefit. Okay? When you go to sleep, you dream. Who wants to not dream? That's the world of fiction, isn't it? It's just don't confuse the world that you're living in into the world of dreams by the twisting of the language. Does that make sense? You two okay?
So Mark, so is common law and universal law the same thing?
Universal means one verse, period. Common law is another word for private law. They just revenue it. So they didn't get rid of it, they just changed it to private law. Look it up, it's on Wikipedia, it'll be there. Private law is the same as common law is private law. The reason why they don't want you using those words is because if you understood common law, private law, you always win because you're a claimant. Okay? So they revenue the word. Once you revenue it, you rob it of the ability to use it properly.
My last question would be, you mentioned that the Jews are under the protection of the Arabs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to ask, what is Moorish?
It's a group of black people from northern Africa that provided, shall we say, safeguards for the postal routes. That's what it is. It's all about postal routes. Genghis Khan, Silk Roads, postal routes. They're all postal routes. These are thousands of years old. He who controls the postal routes controls all commercial activity. Which bit of this do we need to talk about anymore? There's a road that goes from there to there, and it's owned by and protected by me. You want to argue with it, then cross the ocean at your own peril.
Okay. I have a question. It's a question that is matter to why we are here. It's practical from my life. I had a lawsuit with agencies, financial agencies. I won the lawsuit. They sent me announcement that they withdrew the accusation, and after that I sent to the court my demands or litigation, what I want them to perform, because I informed them before the court started what are my demands, and they are not replying to me. My question is, how can I demand that they would perform on me the demands that I set as a conditions during the hearing?
So how would you get them to perform? With what I'm talking about, it's always a language performance. If they can't give you what the meanings mean to a word, then they are incapable of performing. And a performance is a contract word. If you fail to perform, if a husband fails to perform with a wife, then it's grounds for divorce. If a finance provider does not give you a correct performance, then they're not performing. And with this, it always comes down to the language. So you always sue them for the language.
Okay.
And the furthest that they go with this is they vacate their position. In other words, they're saying, we don't know what you want or anything, we don't have any record of you, so as a result, we don't know what you're asking, and they just go away. That's what happens.
Okay, practically, basically, what if I say specifically, let's say I said, your suggestion, I will be charging £100 per hour to defend myself, and I wrote it to them that I spent this and this amount of hours. Or
so those sort of questions, ask me in the class when we're talking. That way I can give you a big answer, because this is not the correct, but I can't deal with individual cases, as it were, like that.
Okay.
So just ask me in the class. Yeah?
Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. And question relating to that, when I had a hearing, the judge was sitting basically next to me around the table.
Yeah.
Does it mean that...
That's a fiduciary. That's not a judge. That's a fiduciary.
Okay. Does it mean that she made a joinder with me? She represented a district court.
Did she touch your document?
Sorry?
Did she touch your document?
Yes.
Yeah, she made joinder with you.
Yes, and she read it. Yeah, she read everything what I wrote.
Yeah, that's a proper fiduciary. You must have done something to get out of the judge hemisphere and go into the back of the judge's chamber, I think it is, back of the court, where it's a table, everything is a level playing field. You must have done something like postage stamp or something that causes a judge to become a fiduciary.
I don't know what to
So you
answer.
must have done something correct.
Yes, probably.
Yeah.
But okay. So, can I send them, for example, bill for those hours that I was defending myself?
Yeah, sure.
And if they don't reply, what should I do?
If they don't reply, then they've accepted your agreement. They've accepted your charge under tacit agreement. So you can approach them 3 times and then take it to court for them to discharge their liabilities.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know. Thank you very much. That was the question.
If they've not replied, they're waiting for you to make a claim.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful.
Corporate rule is very rigid. It's like that because a corporation is very greedy, and if a corporation gets out of control, it would eat up the entire planet in a day.
And they need always 10 days. If I approach them 3 times...
10 working days, yeah.
10, I have to give them always 10 working days before.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, perfect.
And after the 3rd one, you have the right to put a claim in, which will take it to usually 32 or 33 days, and then you can approach the court and then make your claim. But it all should be heard within 45 days, trust. It's a 45-day trust law.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah. Actually, this will be the last question, so after that, we'll have to pack up. I'm already 45 minutes over.
I've got a couple of questions regarding flags and, for example, with Miller's flag, with the grammar flag, does it affect the 4-corner rule when you're using a sticker, if you were to put a sticker on the document?
Yes, it does.
So that sticker then would have its own 4-corner rule?
That's right, yeah.
So how would it affect the document?
It would be that would be 2 different documents. So if you put a sticker on it, that would be considered a postage stamp or some sort of a label, and it would have different rules. If it's a postage stamp, it's the rule of the federal government.
So, for example, if we were to use the flag itself and cut the flag out and use the flag as a sticker rather than print it out.
Yeah, that rules what language it's speaking in and what domain it is.
And then secondly, I heard you say before about putting your own flag on a document. How would I...
I've never said about your own flag. I would just simply cut out Miller's flag on a document like the ones you have and just stick it on there.
I think I've misunderstood then. So you don't put your own document on a flag? Sorry, your own flag on a document, sorry.
I don't have a flag.
I was to say, if we were to create our own flags or have...
Yes, you can do, as long as you know how to copyright it, how to do all of that sort of stuff.
Just copyright essentially the same way you would do the Live Life claim?
No, you need to have the dimensions, the language, all that sort of correct in order for you to create your own flag or use somebody else's flag, because believe it or not, everybody else's flag on this planet is open to salvage. This entire planet is actually open to salvage.
And is it beneficial to have your own flag on a document, or is...
Don't know, never done it. No, I don't see how it would affect anything. If you want your own flag, it's very easy to make it. Yeah, as long as you know the dimensions, put it in maths, and you send it to yourself, and you use the Register Post sticker of that flag, then it's yours. But you can't call it a communication flag because you don't have the language to even make your copyright claims.
What about a crest? Would that...
Yeah, that's quite easy to do. You have it designed, it's unique, you send it to yourself, and that Register Post sticker number would go under the crest. Crest is very similar to a flag, to a shield. That's why all the families, including football players, they all have their own shields. It's outside their houses. It's telling you the house is protected. Okay? Okay, I think that will be it. We'll call it a day. Hope you guys have enjoyed this. I don't think I should say any more, otherwise it will just keep going on and on. Okay, folks, round of applause for yourselves, and thank you very much.